Hi and welcome to another episode of the exciting world of Visby. I'm sorry. Uh, I worked a little bit more. I've created actions and improved the way actions work. So here you can see an example of an alert action as you're stealing from one of these pedestrians. The guard basically is notified of that, and you run away in the crowd to kind of distract him, and he's being slowed down by the crowd as that happens. And you're trying to reach a certain distance away, and then the guard will lose track of you. And the way that works is there's an action that's being performed when you're searching these characters, which is basically like a search action, and that sends out a signal to nearby entities. And the nearby entities are basically looking for that signal, and they run their own action, and that action is basically accumulating a number that says how alert they are. And if that reaches the max, then that's basically when they start chasing you. So the guards have this simple behavior. The captain also has it. And so if you're stealing something, you kind of want to, if you're going to steal something or do something naughty, you should basically do it as so that they can't spot you. But there are ways to avoid them by going into the crowd and so on. So I was going to show a little bit how that works with the... Oh, and you can also see that I've changed the IMGUI setup, so it's not just windows that are minimized, hanging around everywhere. I basically made a main menu. So I have the entity manager here, the captain. He has actions that are running. He's currently running the follow path behavior. It's in green. The grayed out one, they basically are actions that could run on this entity, but right now the conditions for that are not met. So there's a couple of actions here in white. Those are actions that the player can perform on them. And so they are actionable. The conditions are actually met, but nothing is trying to run them. And in this case, the player is basically the thing that starts them. I'm also going to show the blend graph and the variables, because these are basically conditions that are running. So I'm reusing the variables from the animation system in the action system as well. So these basically uses conditions to run the actions. So if I go here, I try to steal the key from the merchant. The captain sees it and he starts chasing you. I actually didn't get the key in this case, I was too slow. And as the captain goes close to the guards, he notifies the guards to start chasing you as well. The guards don't do this, it's only the captain that does that, so you have to have a bit of a technique to kind of avoid the captain. So obviously I'm showing a fail case there. You shouldn't be doing this. And that's what happens. You basically have to run away from these guys. And you can see how the guard, the captain, he basically was following and chasing me, and now he has to move to target. So he basically moves back to the last position he were at. So he goes back to his follow path behavior. But the path behavior was red. That basically means that it was suspended. So it still is an action that is on this character, and it saved its state, so the state is still there. But it is not running, it's suspended. And that basically means as an action runs, a previous action could be suspended and another action can run on top. And then when you go back, when the conditions for that previous action, like the follow path, is met, then you can actually start running it again. So I'm going to go and steal the key again now that the captain is gone. I have it. My inventory, I can drop it, but then I also go to the cage here and I can unlock the cage. Boom. And I can steal the bird. Now I have two things in my inventory, so I haven't set up a way that the key is consumed when you open the cage, and you see the cage still has the animation, so there's still work to be done there. So I drop the key and I can use the bird. Still this behavior, I can use the bird to distract the NPCs here. And if I try to steal from one of them, the guard comes, but now there's a massive crowd there, so the guard doesn't know how to get to me. Like, I might implement ways for them to actually avoid this and get to the player, but we'll see. Also, there's a trick that I'm doing on the captain here. As I was debugging him, you can see that there's a line that's showing his direction. And now the guard is attracted to the bird, so he's trying to get to the bird like the rest of them. So I pick it up and he'll get back to his position. But a captain, any entity that I run, the way I have it is that debug drawing turns on as I open any of these entities in MGU for my list of entities. And that's a way, it's a nice way to just, you don't have to actually enable anything, it's just automatically, okay, you are interested in this, so I'm going to show you the debug for that. This went a little bit quick, so the variables is something, I just opened it, but I don't know if, unless you're actually looking at the video again, you can't really tell. So I can go over the variables. You can see the speed is changing. So the captain was alerted by my position before. So he has an alert location and the start location when the alert happened. And he has a target, and the target was player 0, which is the player. And then he got the chase target. I don't actually clean this up. I might have to do that later. But because the signal to the be alerted is actually a boolean up here. The alerted, as that's being set, that's when it consumes the alert target and the alert location. It's the same with the chasing. When chasing is set, then it uses the chase location and chase target. So all these conditions are basically used inside an action. So I was going to show one simple action and the alert check because of the code. Right, so the alert check is basically a state that is running. Yeah, I'm not running a state machine, I'm running actions and they can be concurrently running. I wasn't sure if I should set up a state machine for this or not. It would make some things easier, and I could actually easily make it a hierarchical state machine by just having actions that run actions. So I just go over this quickly. So is actionable, that's basically the conditions to enter this action. You can see the alertable, there was a flag in the game to say that this is a character or an entity that can be alerted, and then the alerted flag basically is a signal that you're being alerted right now. I also put in a condition that basically if you start chasing, you don't need to be alerted anymore. So that's the name of the action. Some of these actions, they are run on the player, so I kind of want to have a nice way to just give what is the name of this action that you're going to be performing. So performing the action is basically something that's starting the action to be run. You can see that if it's not active, it's setting it up, it's resetting alertness level. And it's also storing a flag for in the crowd simulation if this was a simulated character or not. I'm gonna have to write some better way of doing this. And then a cancel basically aborting the action and going back to the old state. And the tick is basically what's running. So this action is an action that runs on the NPC, the guard or the captain. So the tick is basically running, it's checking, okay, where was the target? I had an alert location, I should check how far away it is. So I accumulate this value by the distance to the target. So closer the guard is, the faster he will be alerted. And that basically means that it's kind of spread out. It's a nice little effect. And then as the signal to be alerted disappears, you basically still have some alertness level and it goes down. Yeah, it's just accumulating. Then I also have these checks to see, is the action completed? If it's not, I'm going to turn off simulation so that they stop moving on in crowd sim. They still can follow paths. I tried disabling that, but I kind of didn't like it because the path, it doesn't have awareness of where the target is. So if the path is, if the character is following the path and looking away from the target, it's not gonna be alerted anymore. So I let them follow path, but I don't let them crowd sim. So if they finish the alertness, if the completion is 1, that basically means the alertness level goes to max, then they start chasing. And this is kind of how I do it for the alertness, but I do it just for this chasing behavior. So I set the variable, I set where the target is. I'm basically using the alert location that I got, an alert target, so I'm just passing through level by level from action to action. And I'm also resetting the signal to be alerted in this action that consumes it. There are other ways you can do this, like message passing. You basically get a message, and by getting the message you consume it, but I have signals, and signals just being variables kind of works. Also, I'm drawing the icon for the guards when they're being alerted. I can maybe show that. Okay, this is my drawing, so I think it looks horrible. A question mark, an exclamation mark, inspired by Metal Gear Solid. They look terrible. They're not attached to anything, things that they don't animate. I animate the question mark just growing in size to show that it's being bigger and so on, and like alertness level increases. But yeah, it's placeholder like most things. Completion amount, basically, if the action is active, it just checks how far it's gotten. That's pretty much it. These actions, like if I had a different engine, like this was Unreal, this would probably be a blueprint running, and then you would require a debugger to set it up. You would want to have watch windows, etc. And because this is code, I get all the tools that a code environment gives me, which is all the memory, all the breakpoints that I actually care about. So if I put in a breakpoint here, I run the game, I again go and get alerted. I can basically step through the code, see what's actually going on. For me, having the power of a debugger basically gives me more flexibility, more power than, well, most of the commercial engines, because I can inspect any of these variables as I'm working, and then I can check what they are, what the math is doing. Also, for me, writing math, okay, I mean, this is simplistic, but writing math is easy for me, line by line. Something I can easily work with. And IMGUI, the second tool that I have for this, I could easily make these all editable here in Engine, and I could get live edit that way. I mean, I have it for the controller, for the player already, like these settings. Those are live editable and tunable. So the same thing I will probably use for these actions as well. That's it for today. I don't know, I went a little bit long, but it's kind of exciting. It's pretty way the way I want to make this game. It's like systems that are running, and then making all these systems kind of work together. I think actions, basically states that are running, and having them concurrently running, I think that's pretty cool. It makes for a pretty fun experience. And the suspending of actions as another action takes over it, I think that works really well. Thanks. Bye.